Greetings and salutations, loyal viewers of this channel. My name is Sean, and I have erred. I have made a mistake. I have said things that are inaccurate, wrong, not even close, not correct. And today, I have to correct that, because I can't say repeatedly that I will always go out of my way to correct mistakes, and then actually not do that when they become obvious to me. But before we get into that, thank you to everybody who supports the channel via actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money. Okay.
So there are three main things that I was wrong about in that video that I want to highlight for you guys in this video. There's also one clarification, because even though I don't think it was that difficult to understand my issue, for some reason it's not clear enough for people who probably are operating in bad faith out there in the audience, and these go as follows. There's one that I was just dead wrong about, and inaccurate, and not even close. Terrible thing to put in the video, and in fact I will try to remove that from the previous video. Don't know if that edit will be done by the time that you guys are seeing this video. There's something that I just misspoke on. It's a dumb flub, but I will also correct that. And the third one is something that honestly I shouldn't have even had in the video in the first place. I was annoyed while I shot / while I edited, and it was me assuming bad faith, which is something that I don't normally do, and it was a bad move on my part. So yeah, we're gonna correct them from the worst to, I guess, the least relevant. So the first one right off the top has to do with District Attorney Alvin Bragg and the cases that were not brought up against him, and the two prosecutors resigning because they felt like Alvin Bragg should have went forward with those cases, but Bragg didn't go forward with those cases. That is just not the case. Now, I do believe, and I have presented evidence for the fact, that Alvin Bragg did charge Trump for political reasons. We had two prosecutors resign from Bragg's office because they believed that he was dropping the case after he took office, because again, it was just a campaign thing for him, and they were really angry about it. But then Bragg brings back the case up again after it is clear that Donald Trump is running for president in 2024. And I completely flubbed this. I got it completely wrong. It was an error. It was an unforced error too, because I had time to look up what I was saying instead of going based on what I thought I saw in the live stream when I looked it up on the spot. But that's not an excuse. In fact, it kind of makes it worse. So when I was talking about Alvin Bragg in my previous video, I was talking about two prosecutors resigning in anger because they felt that Alvin Bragg dropped those cases. And I referred to this case as a case that was the one that he ultimately ended up bringing, or similar enough to the one that he was ultimately end up bringing. And I was wrong, inaccurate, not even close. Thanks for playing. You just lost all your money at this casino. So what ended up happening was I conflated a couple of different things surrounding the Bragg case, because if you guys will remember, what Trump ultimately ended up being charged with was a falsification of business records that they had to use a weird, obscure New York statute in order to enhance. Now, the reason they used that weird statute to enhance two felony charges, which by the way, I believe was done for political purposes based on Bragg's pattern of behavior and how he charges other cases, was due to the fact that I was thinking of the campaign finance charge, which I believe expired prior. And by the way, if I'm wrong about this, it's going to be hilarious. I will look it up and put it on the screen, and it might directly contradict what I'm saying. And that's what I thought they were angry about, is that they let the campaign finance portion of it expire, and then Bragg took up a case based on the similar set of facts, and that's what he ultimately ended up charging Trump with. It turns out that is not the case. These two prosecutors resigned over a different investigation into the Trump organization, and they said that Bragg was dropping it because of political reasons, and then Bragg came out after the fact and he gave a statement. He's like, no, it's still ongoing. And I guess this might have been the one point where I was confused on, because if he said it was still ongoing and that they were looking into it and he just needed more time, then possibly that's why I believed that that case in particular was brought back up again. But to be clear, those are not the same cases. This is just completely wrong on my part. I messed up. No excuses for it. My bad. Inaccurate. Incorrect. Not even close. Again, shame me in the comments, because I deserve it. And my reasoning, my rationale, and all of that, while it might make some logical sense, like that I would jump to those conclusions, the whole point of this channel is go read the documents, don't jump to those conclusions. So yeah, that's just not good on my part. Now, the next thing I want to correct, and by the way, I'm sure many of you are familiar with this type of error on my channel, is me misspeaking. And this has to do with the fact that I said you need probable cause to start an investigation, which I believe I actually said twice in that video. So right here, I'm talking about a prosecutor looking into somebody in order to find evidence of a crime, rather than you having probable cause to start an investigation. I should have just said you need cause to start an investigation, something to initiate the inquiry, but instead I used a technical legal term that fits the standard for a search warrant, for a search of a vehicle, and for an arrest. This is not smart. This is a not good speak. And yeah, you now have probable cause to make fun of me for that in the comments of this video. I grant it to you. And the third thing is an unforced error. And that unforced error was me saying that Destiny put up and pulled down the screenshot really fast. He couldn't get that screenshot off his screen fast enough because he knew it completely refuted, disputed, and destroyed his entire baseless line of attack against me. Again, like all great errors, I had the amazing gumption to do this 2 times in the video. Twice I made this mistake, and what the mistake is, if you guys don't know, is that unlike me, Steven doesn't edit his own videos. So this was not the live stream version of it, which I was not watching. This was actually the edited version of that, so his editor put this up on the screen, and again, I should have just left this out. I was annoyed, so I was like, you know what? You're doing all this crap to call me bad faith. Then here's a point where I think you're bad faith, and again, just like probable cause, guess what? I did it twice. Two times. Double down on it, because anytime you decide to leave something in that you are thinking about taking out on the editing room floor, when you normally go out of your way to give people the benefit of the doubt, you got to double down on it, so that way the mistake is even more egregious. But yeah, this was just an assumption by me, an incorrect one, and yeah, error, unforced on my part. And now for the clarification. One of the things that I am being accused of is making up a quote about District Attorney Alvin Bragg going on a fishing expedition against Donald Trump. Now, to be clear, my position on Alvin Bragg is as follows. Yes, he campaigned on prosecuting Trump. 100%. That was part of the deal. He was called out for it by his Democratic primary political opponent, and what I am using as evidence of him campaigning on going after Trump was the fact that during the election, he would say, I'm the best person to go after Trump because I've had over 100 cases against him. So in my previous video, when I say Cam brought up a quote related to Alvin Bragg that I then tossed it back to him to repeat again, this is what I'm referring to. This part about seeing Trump in court, I thought he had the quote, so I threw it back to him when I was asked for a quote and then proceeded to look for a quote.
I think everybody
running on, okay, so running on, I'm going to find a crime to prosecute them. That's totally fine.
Did Alvin say that? I'm going to find a crime?
Yeah, he said, what was the exact quote? What you call it? Cam, you were talking about it earlier, that he said he was running on seeing Trump in court.
I did not say Cam was the first person to bring up Alvin Bragg. I said Cam was the first person to bring up a quote.
Cool. I'll answer the question too. Yeah. So I don't think it's a threat to democracy. I think it's a bad and corrupt thing to do, but I don't think it's a threat to democracy. Democracy will not cease to exist if you vote for Alvin Bragg, who explicitly campaigned on going to court with Donald Trump.
Related to Alvin Bragg, a specific quote. So when they're saying I made up a quote that I went looking for that I couldn't find, the reason I thought Cam had the quote is because he previously had presented the quote.
That quote, what you call it? Cam, you were talking about it earlier, that he said he was running on seeing Trump in court.
Oh, yeah. He specifically said that he was the person that had the most experience on the ballot with dealing with Trump in court.
Cam did nothing wrong in this exchange. That this is not me throwing him under the bus. Now, in the hypothetical, I referenced a scenario where somebody was talking about what I described to be a fishing expedition. Now, again, remember, I'm being accused of manufacturing a quote out of nowhere when what I'm actually doing is remembering what Letitia James said.
Pisco, when he brought up the Bragg stuff, right? If he did, this is a criminal lawyer guy, and that's what he markets himself as, and he went to school for criminal justice. And how many videos do you think he's made? Dude, I went through his thing, his Twitter account. He talks about bail every day, about all these new rapists. And when he goes to quote Alvin Bragg's, it doesn't exist. He can't find it. In fact, all the quotes on the record are the exact opposite.
That was horrible, Connor. So what he did was he pretended that Alvin Bragg made some statement approximating, I'm going to go after Trump on anything.
Fishing expedition was.
Now, this is what annoyed me because Steven said, and Pisco affirmed and doubled down on this, that I made up a quote about Alvin Bragg. Like, it came out of nowhere. I just made it up. But in reality, this is me recalling and paraphrasing this Letitia James quote.
I will be shining a bright light into every dark corner of his real estate dealings. And every dealing, demanding truthfulness at every turn.
So yes, to be clear, both Alvin Bragg and Letitia James ran on prosecuting Trump. Bragg touted his credentials as somebody who had sued Trump a bunch of different times, while Letitia James, again, this is election night, it's like after midnight, that's why it says November 7th, said that she was going to look into all of his dealings after she said specifically his real estate dealings. She's not saying that she's going to focus on the Trump organization, which apparently there was a complaint that ended up being concluded with the Trump organization dissolving in December of 2018. She gets sworn in January, so that was done before she was the attorney general, but I believe the case was announced well into the campaign. This is her promising a fishing expedition. Now, there's also a video that I showed in there where a woman who I guess was a minor candidate for office goes up to Letitia James and asks her if she will sue Donald Trump.
And what would you say to people who say, oh, I'm not going to bother to register to vote because my voice doesn't make a difference, or I'm just one person?
I say one name, Donald Trump. That should motivate you. Get off your ass and vote.
Will you sue him for us?
Oh, we're gonna definitely sue him. We're gonna be a real pain in the ass. He's gonna know my name personally.
I love it. He probably does already.
Now, this video was posted on Instagram on November 7th of 2018, which is the day after Election Day. There she is saying that she will sue Trump, not for any specific reason or anything like that. And then there's a third video in September where she's on the debate stage and she says you have to follow Trump's money, you have to see if he did money laundering or colluded with Russia or China.
It's really critically important that everyone understand, as was mentioned by Mr. Verhara, that filing a lawsuit, simply opening up an investigation, can ruin lives. And so with respect to Donald Trump, we need to follow his money. We need to find out where he's laundered money. We need to find out whether or not he's engaged in conspiracy and whether or not he's colluded not only with Putin, but also with China as well.
And to me, the fact that she's not talking about a specific case like the Trump Organization case, or I believe Trump University was killed a couple of years before that, it seems like she's talking about just going through his stuff to find out if he did this or that or the other, which again is a fishing expedition. Now look, there are a few other videos that people have been sending to me over and over again, and while I appreciate that, I care about you, I care about your feedback, I'm not using the Now This clip, which I've definitely seen for a reason, because A, I don't care that she called Trump an illegitimate president, and B, her saying he should be charged with obstruction is like an opinion. And then there's another one where she says something that sounds bad in isolation, but just prior to that, she named a bunch of policies that she's concerned about that she's saying she'll fight back against if elected to attorney general. That's all completely fair game. You can call somebody a legitimate president. You could say they should be charged with obstruction based, again, likely on facts that are out there in the media that she is reading into. And you could also say that, yeah, you're going to challenge policies that actually exist. I believe one was Muslim ban, which again, I'm not getting into the fact that it was not technically a Muslim ban. One was something related to immigration. Yeah, that's fine. But to be clear, I 100% stand by that both Letitia James and Alvin Bragg ran on going after Trump. The reason Alvin Bragg said repeatedly throughout the campaign that he had the most experience litigating against Donald Trump is because he wanted that to help him get the job as district attorney. He wanted people to vote for him as one of the best, or actually the best person in that field to continue cases against Donald Trump. Letitia James, way more bold in what she said she was going to do. I am not walking that back in any way, shape, or form. The thing that I am trying to dispute is the idea that I made up a quote about a fishing expedition where you're saying you're going to look into somebody, which by the way is me paraphrasing, because that came from Letitia James. Again, misattributed to Alvin Bragg, fair criticism, but in reality, I did not make that up out of nothing. Now, except for that last clarification, I'm keeping this video contained to things that I got wrong, things that I was incorrect about, because I'm not trying to make another long video. And I promise you guys, I will do my absolute best, unless it's a serious lie like I made up a quote, which I absolutely did not, to not get into every single petty dispute over this conversation. Hey guys, Editing Sean here. I'm not sure if I made this clear enough in the video, but I am sorry to you guys out there in the audience. You're the ones who expect me to go through the documents, you're the one who expect me to go through the articles and make a concise breakdown that is informative, that doesn't contain ridiculously stupid errors like this. I didn't do that. I am the one at fault for these mistakes, and none of you should feel the need to go out of your way to defend me or to use my bad information as your argument, because that's one of the worst outcomes, is that you guys get something from me and then you end up looking bad, you end up looking stupid. So yeah, I apologize to you all for these errors. I messed up. You guys can see the sourcing in the description, make your own judgment, shame me appropriately, all in the comments below. As usual, if you like this video, show them by leaving a like, subscribe for more content, follow me on the social medias, support me via the support links in the description of this video. This has been me talking about the craziness and whatnot and how I messed up. Till next time.